Alright, what's happening everybody? It's your boy Keenan. Welcome to today's second blog. Here to give you my top 5 tight ends heading to the 2013 NFL Draft. Now I'm going to start at number 5, Jordan Reed out of Florida. This guy's a pretty good receiver, leading the team in receiving with 599 receiving yards. He has good hands, and a little bit of interesting fact, he started his career as a quarterback heading to Florida, but then converted to the tight end position, and I think that was a smart decision. He's a very smooth player when coming in and out of his breaks, and he reminds me of a big running back with agility when he moves in space. I think he's an excellent receiver. But he is a terrible blocker. He cannot get leverage off on the line of scrimmage. He cannot hold onto a block. And I think a lot of defensive ends will always will outreach him and get around him, get into the quarterback, and even pull him down sometimes. He really needs to work on that blocking ability. If he was just a little bit better of a blocker, he could probably even be the at least number 3 tight end coming towards this draft. Also, there's a little bit of a character issue with this kid. He does have a little bit of a bad attitude. During the Sugar Bowl, he was benched in that game because of his attitude, especially when they were pretty much getting blown out by Louisville. I think he needs to work on that character issue just a little bit. At number 4, I'm going to go with Travis Kelce out of Cincinnati. Now this kid has the ideal size for a tight end. 6'5" at 255 pounds. Pretty athletic for his size, and I do like the fact that he has light feet and he lines up in numerous positions, meaning he can even be a slot receiver, an H-back. That shows shows a little bit of versatility in this particular player, and he is very tough to bring down. He had 45 receptions for 722 yards. First team All Big East performer this past season as a senior. I think he's a pretty good blocker as well. But one thing he needs to work on, he needs to be a little bit more crisp coming in and out of his routes, out of his breaks, creating separation. He kind of struggles with that. And playing in the National Football League, you need separation. He needs to improve in that. And also, just like Jordan Reed, he has a little bit of a character issue. He was suspended for an entire season for violating team rules. A little bit of a red flag, but I think this could be a great, reliable pickup in the later rounds of this year's draft. And number 3, I'm going to go with San Diego State's Gavin Escobar. He's a hard worker. I have to give him a lot of props, and he runs great seam routes, meaning he can run up the field very well vertically. One thing he does need to work on is I think he needs to be a little bit better in his moves and his movements, being a little bit more shifty, more wiggly. He's more of a north-south type of player, and even running his routes and catching the play after the catch. He doesn't really give you much wiggle in trying to evade defenders. He's just more of a straightforward guy. He does go forward, but if he just tries to evade the defenders a little bit better, he can have more yardage as he did at San Diego State. Now, number 2 and number 1 had a big debate in this one, but I finally came up with a decision. At number 2, I'm going to go with Stanford's Zach Ertz. He's 6'5", 250 pounds, and he led all tight ends this season in receiving yards. Just came up short for the John Mackey Award winner, which was given to the number 1 tight end that I have for you guys. He has great quickness, and he can create some separation in his routes, which is great, and that is very reliable. He does a nice job selling his routes as well, and I really think this is a great receiving tight end and in a well-built frame. He's a little bit inconsistent in his blocking sometimes. He sometimes loses leverage, and I think that some defensive ends could get around him and push him back, which could cause problems in the running attack. He just needs to have better control in his blocking, and he will be a lot better of a tight end. Also, a little bit of concern for me, at the combine he ran a 4.7 640. Need to be a little bit faster at that position. Now, my number 1, I'm going to have to go with Tyler Eifert, the Mackey Award winner for the nation's best tight end, coming out of Notre Dame. He led the team with 50 catches and well over 500 yards receiving. He ran a 4.6 840, better than the 4.76, and he has great route running ability, particularly in the seam route. He can get very vertical, can even get behind safety. Very fast, pretty fast. I think he's a lot faster on tape than that 4.6 840, and that's why I had to put him at number 1. Also, he has a 35.5-inch vertically. That means he has a little bit of hop. He could definitely reach to the highest point and get to the football when catching the football. Now, he's a little bit inconsistent in blocking, but he's a little bit better than Zach Ertz. Now, there are times where he was pulled down, and also quicker defensive ends will get past him in the line of scrimmage, which will cause him to miss reach blocks. He just needs to work on that, get that tweak that up a little bit, and I think he will be just fine. But he's still a better tight end overall, in my opinion, after watching the tape, than Zach Ertz. So I had to put him at number 1. Now I have a couple of honorable mentions for you guys: good, reliable receiving tight ends and a good blocking tight end, and a good receiving tight end, and Joseph Fiora out of UCLA. He was actually one of the team's leading receivers. Also, for a good blocking tight end, Philip Luke Kirchen out of Auburn. Auburn is more of a running team, and he was a great blocker. Now, my sleeper this year at the tight end position, I'm going to go with Vance McDonald out of Rice. Now, this kid is a tough player, and he is a snap to whistle type of player. He plays until the whistle is blown, and I love that in a football player. Some players actually do not play to the whistle. Sometimes when they feel like the play is pretty much over, they kind of let go and call it quits. But this particular play, he plays head on, smash mouth football to the end of the whistle, and that shows me that he has a lot of toughness. He's a pretty good blocker, but one thing he does need to work on: decent receiver, but he sometimes drops footballs, and that cannot happen. You have to be able to catch the football and not have noticeable drops, and he did have noticeable drops during his career at Rice. I still think he's a good player, and he could be a great sleeper for any team in the National Football League. I have him going in the late rounds, last round at the latest. I still think he could still be picked in this year's NFL draft. Now, next time to catch you guys is tomorrow. I talked about my running backs, but I kind of skipped out on the fullbacks. So tomorrow I'm going to give you all of my top 5 fullbacks. Thank you for watching this vlog. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.